When did you start playing your first instrument and why?
Oh my goodness. So I've been musical for as long as I can remember. My first instrument that I played was actually the saxophone. I was in like a middle school band, and it sounded awful. It had no volume knob on it, unfortunately. So love my parents for putting up with that. But that kind of got me into organized music, in the band and jazz band and things like that. And then soon after realized that wasn't my instrument of choice. Found the guitar and, watching MTV and seeing all these guys playing the guitar, and it was cool. And it's, man, that's what I want to do. So very shortly after, I got my first acoustic guitar for Christmas, and it was off to the races from there.
When you first started playing guitar, who did you try to emulate? Who were you listening to? What was the style you were going for when you started playing?
So it depends on who was asking me. It was cool to listen to, so you're talking about the mid 80s at this point in time. So it was cool to listen to hair band stuff, heavy metal things that were going on. But so if somebody asked me, like that's what I thought was cool. But I was listening to Eric Clapton. I was listening to B.B. King. I was listening to jazz stuff. I was listening to Muddy Waters. I was listening to all these things that I didn't think were widely accepted as cool at the time. So that's what I was listening to, and that's what I wanted to emulate. But it wasn't. That's not the answer I gave when you asked me then.
When you think about musical influences, who would you say influenced you the most, and how did you put these particular sounds together on the album to create groove music?
Yeah, so if you bring up groove now, so if you heard that album, there's a whole lot of different stuff going on there. It's kind of all over the place, and that mirrors my musical taste. I'm absolutely all over the compass. There's blues influence, there's jazz influence, there's R&B influence. I'll listen to trip hop, I'll listen to electronica. I'm all over the place. So what I wanted to do with that is to kind of take things from different genres that I like, and let's try to make them fit together and package them in something that works, sounds pleasing, and maybe people haven't done a whole lot of. So if you listen to Groove Magic, there's a lot of electric bass guitar, there's 6-string bass on there, there's fretless bass, there's electric guitar, there's mandolin, there's heavy beats, there's light stuff, there's ambient stuff. So it just takes everything that I like and just kind of balled it up and said, well, here it is. I think this works.
What was the inspiration from the sound to the art to the title?
Yeah, so my wife and I would go to these kind of alternative spiritual kind of events, whether it be psychic conventions and things like that. And when you go to there's a really big one that's in the greater Cincinnati area, and you go there and there's all these vendors and holistic healers, and there's a small group of musicians, but it's a really small group, and they're not doing anything that's super outside of the norm of like really traditional, ambient, new age stuff. And so we walk around and I'm like, what if there was music that kind of belonged at an event like this that you could use for meditative purpose, you could use for holistic therapy. My wife does Reiki therapy and acupuncture, and she's a massage therapist. And so what if somebody made songs that were musical, that were instrumentally sound, but still worked in this kind of genre, and combined things like we talked about before, like R&B influences with jazz and blues and kind of off the wall stuff, and put it together and market it to an event like this or to a crowd like this. And so that's kind of where Groove Magic started. I said, well, I'm gonna not write to a specific genre. I'm gonna just see what comes out, and if it sounds good, I'm gonna put it together, and that's gonna be Groove Magic. So I didn't put any restraints on it. And if I wanted a nature sound here, if I wanted a mandolin here, if I wanted a 6-string bass here, it just went together, and I think it turned into something cool. The album artwork was a picture that my wife took at a nature center in Cincinnati, minus obviously the ferry on the cover. There was not a ferry at the nature center that I'm aware of. But she took this incredible picture with her camera phone. We got home, we looked at it. I was like, that's the coolest thing. And I sent it off to a graphic artist guy. I said, hey, can you make this better? Can you kind of embellish it a little bit? He did, and that became the cover art. And I just thought that was really neat.
How has the reaction been to the project? What are listeners saying about the music?
It's been really positive, but it's not been widely promoted. It's not widely popular, and that's one of the big reasons that I first reached out to C.A.R.E. So I have these couple albums out, and I like them, and I'm getting a good reaction when I go to these. I'll get a vendor table at these new age events, and I'll sit there and I'll play music, and people come up and they'll say great things, and I like it, but it's so hard to reach a wider audience, and that's when we started talking. And so essentially, the conversation shifted from promoting Groove Magic and End of Chaos, which was the second album that followed that one, to, hey, what would you think of partnering and joining this label and maybe making some new music and seeing where this goes. And I was like, well, I like that idea a lot. So honestly, from a promotion standpoint, I haven't done a ton with Groove Magic, and I don't know that I will. I think it'll just be something special that I did and that I'll have.
What do you want people to take away from your music?
I want it to stand out, and stand out for good reasons. I want it to be something different. I want people to wonder what the genre is. I want it to be something that doesn't necessarily fit in a nice little box, neatly in any one specific area. I want them to say that it was done right. I want them to say it's musically sound, and it's something that they enjoy listening to, and they get something from it. Whatever that is.
You have an upcoming project. Could you talk to us about that? Is there anything that you can tell us about it?
The new album coming out is called Horizon, and again, this stemmed from a conversation with C.A.R.E. about possibly promoting my earlier stuff, which turned into then let's do a new album with Heart Dance, and I'm extremely excited about it. It's not that I don't like my previous stuff; it's my stuff. I like it, but the production quality on this is just absolutely leaps and bounds beyond anything that I would have been capable of doing and have done in the past. So it's just getting the opportunity to work with C.A.R.E. and getting introduced with Cass Anawati, who's doing the production and the mastering of the album, has just taken what I thought I was capable of doing and just multiplying it by 10. The stuff he sends back to me that I send him is just it's mind-blowing. So I'm really, really excited about the new album. Again, it's one of those that I'm not sure where it fits genre-wise, and that's one of the reasons that I like it so much. Cass has offered me a wide kind of latitude in order for me to go and do things that I might not have thought would fit on the album, but from what I've heard so far, and we're almost done with it, it's going to be fantastic, so I'm really excited about it.